It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, there you go, Matt. Alright, thank you all for coming. I'm Patrick. I'm giving a persuasive speech on why we should raise the minimum wage. Alright. People can barely support themselves without a livable wage. We all deserve to be able to support ourselves. For my speech, I use sources from Forbes, procon.org, CNBC, The Hill, PBS, and Fortune magazine. So the problem with a low federal minimum wage is that it leaves many people living in poverty. The solution to this is obviously to raise the federal minimum wage. According to Robert Reich's article for CNBC, the Congressional Budget Office predicts that raising the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour would raise about 900,000 people out of poverty. We could make lives better for millions of people in America. For many, the largest worry is that raising the minimum wage will destroy jobs. But the opposite is in fact true. As John T. Harvey states in his Forbes article, that raising the minimum wage will have little to no impact on employment. In fact, procon.org says that might actually increase the number of jobs by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Though there is also the worry that young people will be shut out of jobs that pay more. However, a PBS article by John Komlos says that the unemployment rate for young people in countries with a higher minimum wage has a lower youth unemployment rate. For example, the unemployment rate in Germany is 7.8%, whereas in the US it is 15.5%. These countries' overall unemployment rate is also lower. This should dispel any worries about unemployment rising from this. Raising the minimum wage would also have a positive impact on the economy rather than a negative one. More people would have a disposable income that they could spend on consumer goods. And those that already have disposable income would see their income increase. Since productivity and economic growth have outpaced the minimum wage, any increase in it would be offset by that growth. This means that people spending more money and companies not having to lay people off to maintain their profits, these companies will still be able to produce the same amount of goods and services for a growing market, increasing demand. Increasing the minimum wage would also reduce income inequality and raise millions of people out of poverty, as stated before. This would cause less spending by the government on welfare programs, not welfare programs, since people will be able to support themselves. This will take 1.7 million people off of welfare, saving taxpayers potentially $7.6 billion. This would grow the middle class and shrink the lower class, moving people up in the tax bracket and causing the middle class to grow fat with wealth. Raising the minimum wage is also the right thing to do because it is the most popular thing to do. According to Roger Lowenstein's article for Fortune magazine, 14 states have increased the minimum wage in 2016. And this past July, Cook County also increased their minimum wage to $10 an hour, and then I believe next year it's $11.50. Also, a survey done last year shows that 80% of corporate executives also favor increasing the minimum wage. And that makes sense because, if you get paid more, you're less likely to leave for a higher paying job. And, that might cause you to ask, well, why don't these companies just raise the wages themselves instead of letting the government do it? Well, if they raise the wages themselves, that might cause an influx of people coming to, find jobs there, might inundate them with job candidates, and that would cause people to leave their jobs, and then they'd have to pick from a larger pool of people that will take more time interviewing, etc. So if the government does that for them, everyone's minimum wage goes up, and then no one's leaving their jobs for something else. Now, I'm not saying that the minimum wage should immediately be hiked to $15, as some people have suggested, like Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie?
Although this would provide a livable wage for many, it should perhaps increase slowly, perhaps $1 or more a year, like how Cook County's doing it, where now it's $10, and then next year it's $11.50 or some such, and then in like 4 years it'll be at $14 or $15. And we can achieve this if you simply write your congressperson or congresspeople. Now in Illinois, both Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth support a livable wage. And also, if your representative is a Democrat, they also likely support it. But what you can do is you can contact your friends and family who do not live in your district or state and have representatives and senators that do not support it, and get your friends and family to write those senators and representatives that don't support it. Now, we could also work at the state level, and it might go a little easier. You can go to your state capital and lobby local representatives and senators. It's a lot easier than you would think. You simply apply for a permit to lobby, and you go talk to them. I myself have gone and lobbied at the Illinois Capitol in Springfield before, not for the minimum wage, but for other things. They're all mostly nice people, willing to sit down and have a chat with you, and listen, and even have a discussion, tell you their thoughts about it. Very few of them will cut you off and say no. Even when they say no, they're polite. And in the end, they might say no. Or you might have swayed them with the facts you learned in this speech. And you might have made a difference for thousands or potentially millions of people in America. You can also call those politicians once a day. Taking up their phone lines really bugs them, it annoys them, and they might just agree to do it so that you'll stop bothering them and taking up their time. That bugging people works. So, in conclusion, I hope that this speech has at the very least taught you something about raising the minimum wage and how it can help the American people. Or if it has persuaded you to help try and increase the minimum wage. There might be some downsides to it, but that is certainly negated or offset by the positives, the wealth it would bring everybody. Raising people out of poverty, providing more wealth to spend in the economy, increasing the economy's size. It's the right thing to do. It's the democratic thing to do because most people support it. So thank you. Thank you.